everyone. Welcome to the Team Hardcore training. My name is Janelle Summers, and today is September 13th. So this is an exciting time in our business. Next week, Monday, we have the pumpkin spice, the vegan pumpkin spice Shakeology that's launching, and there's a whole lot of buzz about that. So I recommend that you are on your toes that day because I believe it's going to be around 10 a.m. Pacific time. Okay, so do your time zone math on that. I'm EST, so 10, 11, 12, 1, 11, 12, 1, so 1 p.m. my time. So make sure that you get some of that pumpkin spice Shakeology. I'm a pumpkin spice kind of person, so I'm super excited. Now it's just the 14 packs. Single serve packs. It's not on HD. It's not worth Success Club points. But it's definitely one of those things that this time of year, everyone wants pumpkin spice everything. And so it really could generate some new interest for you and for your customers, your existing customers. Definitely let them know. So I can see who's on the call, and I can see Jen's on. Both Jens are on. And Randy and Laree and Shalene. Okay, awesome. And Rachel. Okay, so let's talk about systems. So this is an incredibly important topic. Now, I recently listened to a podcast by Bob Heilig. Write this down if you don't already listen to Bob's podcast. He was a guest speaker on one of our calls recently, and his podcast, is it My Virtual Upline or Your Virtual Upline? I always forget. Maybe it's Your Virtual Upline. I think that's what it is. Your Virtual Upline. And he did a podcast, I believe it was, let's see, I wrote it down, episode number 93. And the title of it is 3 Types of Momentum. Now, what's interesting about this podcast by Bob is what it really boils down to are systems. And listening to that podcast, it made me it just reminded me how important systems are in our business, and that if you don't have systems, you don't really have a business. You really will struggle to build your business, okay? Because it's possible, and he says this in his podcast. I definitely want you to listen, but I want to reiterate some of what he says in his podcast. It's possible to have personal momentum, where you're feeling excited. That's probably why you're on this call. You're feeling excited. You're getting results. You're, putting your posts out there. You're doing your invites. You're doing all the things, and you've got this personal excitement and personal momentum. But if what you're doing is not able to be duplicated by others, then it's not going to lead to success in your business. Now, that is especially important if you're building a team. Now, if you're brand new and you haven't gotten there yet, then you just need to keep, putting one foot in front of the other and doing those invites and doing those personal invites. And we've got all the trainings for that. But when it comes to, especially when it comes to having team success versus just personal momentum, you really have to have your systems in place. And I'm naturally not an organized person. I'm naturally not a structured person. If you were at Summit and you heard Connie Podesta speak, you know that she talked about the different personality types. I'm a squiggle, okay? I'm a squiggle. I'm not a structured person. I thrive on being a squiggle. But most people don't. Most people, I have found in doing this business, most people like and thrive on structure. And so what I've had to do in my business is create systems. And so it's not that difficult to do. And so I want to lay out for you, like, what systems exactly do you need? So I want to make sure that you're taking notes with this training. So I want to go over a couple of the things that Bob Heilig touched on in his podcast. Number one, he said, leadership is always about leading by example. And the 2 things that are going to lead to personal momentum, which you have to have in order to have team momentum. You do. So if you have that personal momentum, awesome, because that is the first thing that you need before you can have team momentum. And your team gets momentum. First step is you have to have your personal momentum, and you have to have these 2 things really in place. Number one is you have to have focus, and number 2 is you have to have consistency. If you don't have focus and you don't have consistency, they're not going to either. Think about anything you're asking them to do, whether you're asking them to be posting once per day, or asking them to share stories on Instagram, or asking them to get on the National Wake Up Call, asking them to engage in your groups. Ask yourself, are you doing these things? If you're asking them to stay consistent, even though they're having like a hard time right now or whatever it may be, are you staying consistent through those hard times? If you're asking them to, start putting invites out there and start, earning Success Club and start filling up a challenge group, are you doing those things? Because definitely your team is going to do more of what they see you do versus what you say. What you say is only going to have credibility if they see that you're doing it. Typically, people aren't going to do more than what you are doing. Now, sometimes they will, and be super happy for them if they do. If they're, outperforming you, that's great. But most of the time, if there's something that you're unsure of or you're struggling with, they're struggling with it too. So one of the things that Bob said too was that, if there's something that's really working for you and helping you really build your business, if it's not clear to them or it's not able to be duplicated by them, then it's not going to create momentum and success in your business. Everything that you do, it has to be duplicatable. That's why even with things that I had an opportunity to do in my business early on, I said no to, because I was like, well, that would be great for me. That would give me a ton of visibility, or that would give me new coaches easily or whatever, but that doesn't help my team. Therefore, it doesn't help my business. For my business to succeed, you guys have to succeed. And for your business to succeed, your coaches need to succeed. They need to have success. And I want that. And that feels better anyway. It's really no fun if it's just like, well, I'm doing great over here. I hope you're all fine. It's really no fun to do that. What's fulfilling about this business is when you help other people succeed and show other people what's possible if they really put their mind to it. So you have to have those systems in place. One more thing that Bob had said was that there are really 3 things that have to be very clear. And again, this is only for about 10 to 20% of your team, because only about 10 to 20% of your team are really going to dig in. Regardless of how many have the potential, they might all have the potential. They might all have the ability to rock this business, but realistically speaking, only 10 to 20% of your coaches are really going to dig in. But that's why you continually need to be adding to your team and building your team, because you can't control who fits in that 10 to 20%. You might think it should be this person, and that person's just not engaging. So it's not going to be that person. You might think it's not going to be that person, but she's engaging and she's getting it and she's smart and she is going to be that 10 to 20%. You can't necessarily control it, but you have to put these things out there. Number 1, write this down. You have to have clearly defined goals, okay? Clear outcomes and goals that you would expect for them, okay? That has to be very clear. And so that's something that you can put in, maybe you're getting started right call, or you're getting started right video if you do a getting started right video, or maybe you have a checklist, but it needs to be clear outcomes and goals. What do you want for them in their first 30 days? Is it to hit Success Club, achieve Emerald, and earn back their startup fee? Like what is the goal for their first 30 days? What is the goal for their first 3 months? Number 2, there has to be accountability built in. Now for me, like with my new coaches, part of their getting started right process is that they go through my new coach mentorship. And I do open that up to my coaches and their coaches. And that in that new coach mentorship, they check in every single day. That's that accountability piece, because this business is so easy to not do. Everything is really easy to just not do. The sky's not going to fall if you don't post, we didn't invest $200,000 into this business. So it's just, you have to have something built in for accountability, because it's just too easy to not do it and figure life will just go on and then nothing changes. So it's not good. Got to have accountability built in. And the 3rd thing is transparency. And this was interesting, because he was saying that, most people, they want to see where they stand in relationship to others. Okay. So, putting those shout outs out there for, who has achieved Success Club and who has Success Club points on the board and who's rank advancing. And they need some kind of like transparency as to what is actually going on. Now, Some people obviously do compare themselves to others, and that can be tough. And so you have to be that coach that's there to, let them know, hey, don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 12, but definitely some type of transparency. So I'm going to get into the systems that I think are really crucial to our business. So if you could write these down, and there's 8 things that I came up with. Now this might not be everything, but I think it's most things, right, within these 8 things. I'm going to see real quick here if you have any questions. Okay, none so far that I can see. So number 1, I think you have to have a system for coaches to build their network. Okay, so maybe you want to create a checklist. Jen Delvaux and I were talking about checklists, and what she's done is created some checklists for her team, and she did share those with me, and I'm going to share them with you on the Coach Success page. But a network building checklist. Your coaches need to have some type of system for building their network. Okay, now I go through this in my new coach mentorship group, the system for building their network. And one thing that we have them do right off the bat in every new coach mentorship group is they make a list of every single person they've ever known, whether it be, someone that they are Facebook friends with or not. It could be the person they see at the bank once every 2 weeks. It could be, their hairstylist. It could be their massage therapist. It can be the person that they, roomed with in college. It could be their neighbor. It's just everyone that they have ever known. They're not supposed to just think of people who are into fitness or who might be interested in a product or the business. Not that. It's everyone. List of everyone they've ever known. So usually that list is a good at least 100 people, sometimes 200 or more. And so for accountability, to build in that accountability, they have to send a picture of that list to me if I'm their upline or whoever their upline is. So that's that accountability built in, that they're going to do that first step, because those people are a part of their network, and they probably never really thought of that, before this business, because now, we're in network marketing, we're in relationship marketing. And so you need to really be thinking about your network and who in your network can you be connecting with, so that you can determine who might need help, because you won't know that until you really start connecting with people. And yeah, you might be thinking, well, why would I connect with my neighbor? I know that she doesn't need this business or a fitness product or whatever. Yeah, but your neighbor, maybe her daughter does, or maybe her neighbor does, or well, that would be your neighbor too, or maybe her cousin does, or whatever. Like it's called networking. It's that whole process of connecting with. The more people you're connecting with, the more people you're able to reach, and then the broader you're able to, the more you're able to broaden your business. So it's also a part of that network building is having a list of people that you need to friend request on Facebook, having a list of people that you need to follow on Instagram. So part of that Instagram piece, and I really do have my coaches focus on Instagram. So again, these are things that you can put on your checklist. Do they have a list of everyone they know? Have they sent that list of everyone they know to their upline coach? Do they know who their target market is, so that they can start that cold market networking? They can start expanding their cold market. So who's their target market? And the way they determine that is, what are the 3 to 4 things that they're going to focus on? Is it faith and fitness and healthy food? Like what are the 3 to 4 things? Is it, fitness and decor, and maybe it's people with an eating disorder? Like what are their things that they're going to focus on that'll help them reach their tribe? Okay, so and that can change, because when you're a new coach especially, you think your target market is this, and then you're like, wow, I think actually my target market is this, because I seem to attract these people more, or whatever. So the other part with network building on that checklist can be having them determine what are the 3 or 4 groupings of hashtags that they're going to use, unique hashtags that they're going to use on Instagram, because that's how they're going to attract people to their Instagram, is through those hashtags. They have to make sure they're not private still. So many people on Instagram are private, so make sure that they're public. Otherwise, hashtags are completely pointless. But do they have 3 or 4 lists of hashtags saved in their memos on their phone that they can just copy and paste after they do a post on Instagram? Also in that checklist, do they have their bio complete? on their Instagram and on their Facebook? And do they have a profile picture that is clear? I mean, I can't tell you how many profile pictures on Instagram where I'm like, what is that? What? Like, I don't even want to click on that person. Whereas there's others where I see their comment or I see that they've liked on my photo, and right away I go to their bio because I'm like, who's that girl? Like that, she looks like she's, it's like a white background of her profile picture, like just stands out, right? And so you want to check them out, like, wow, this could be an awesome inspirational fitness page or whatever. But if it's a profile picture where you're like, is that what? Okay, I don't know what that is. Okay, so that's a network building checklist. That's a system that you could have in place for your coaches to start building their network. Something simple, something that you can give to them. So you can create this checklist, and something that you could email to them. I was just, as I was making this on the list, I was like, okay, I'm gonna put this checklist together because I don't think I've put this in a checklist type format yet. Yes, I have it in my new coach mentorship in terms of trainings, but I don't have it in a checklist format, and I think checklist formats are great. Number two, and also on the network building checklist, CCQing. Have they started CCQing at least 10 people per day, or whatever you want to set that number to be? But instead of maybe 10 people per day, maybe it's twice a week, it's 30 people or whatever in blocks of time that you set aside. Some people like to do little bits every single day. Other people like to do things in blocks. I prefer blocks. Like, I'm going to spend this next 45 minutes working on all of, these connections, or I'm going to spend the next 45 minutes working on, inviting people to my next sneak peek, or I'm going to spend this next 45 minutes of, coming up with posts for my challenge group or whatever. So blocks of time or daily. Okay, so the next system that you need to have in place is a calendar system. Okay, this is really important. Need to have a calendar system so that you can figure out when you look at your schedule, and you also have to be able to teach your team this, that when you look at your schedule and your calendar, and you can say, okay, when am I going to host that 5-day free group? When am I going to start my challenge group where the members are maybe required or maybe strongly suggested to purchase a product or program in order to be a part of my complimentary accountability group or virtual boot camp, whatever you want to call it. So what are those dates? What does that look like? When is my sneak peek? So once you get those like main things figured out, so you don't have to do a 5-day free group, but if you are, that's one of them. A challenge group. When is your monthly challenge group going to be? When is your sneak peek going to be? Or maybe you do 2 a month. A lot of coaches who are having big numbers with recruiting are doing at least 2 sneak peeks per month. Some are doing them 3 or 4 per month. When is your next, can't do that. Okay. When is your next, when are you going to do your next new coach mentorship? And maybe you're not going to do it as a Facebook group. Maybe you're just going to do it as a thread. Maybe you're going to do it as a success pod, whatever you want to call it. But put that on a calendar, okay? And there's a great training that goes through this in more detail and more specifically done by Melanie Mitro, and she did it at the leadership conference. So if you go into your YouTube and you search Melanie Mitro, maybe Melanie Mitro calendar, search on YouTube. I can't remember what you'd have to search, but it's there. I think if you search that, it'll come up. Basically, this is it. You figure out, okay, it makes sense for me to start this on this day. It makes sense for me to start on this day. So once you have those main things in place, you can back up and say, okay, my next challenge group starts on this day. So I need to look at the week before that, 5 days before that, and go, okay, I need to do my last calls. I'm meaning not calls, but for me, it's the one-on-one messages saying, hey, last call. My challenge group is starting on Tuesday. I usually start things on Tuesdays, and do those one-to-one messages just to say, hey, I just want to make sure I'm not dropping the ball on you because I know that you said you wanted to do X, Y, Z. So I go back to what their needs were. I know that you wanted to achieve X, Y, Z, and I think this group is going to be great because, and I give specifics. Just wanted to reach out one last time before I close out the attendees to see if you were still considering this. or if you needed more time or whatever. So making sure that you have it all calendared so that it makes sense, so that you know each week, each day, what it is that you need to be doing. But if you don't have it on the calendar and you're just kind of going, I should probably do this today, or I should probably do that today, that feels really unorganized, and it doesn't usually work very well. So make sure you have a calendar system. Number 3, make sure you have a tracking system, okay? A way that you are going to track your prospects. So people that you've invited to a challenge group, people that you've invited to, learn about the business opportunity. And I hate even saying it that way. Really, it's the people that you have asked, have you ever considered coaching? Do you have these people on a list somewhere? People that maybe you have newly followed that you consider like hot prospects, like this person would be so good as a coach, or this person would be great for my challenge group or whatever. Do you have those people tracked? Because you won't get anywhere with those people if you don't do follow-up conversations, and I've done a whole training on that. But if you didn't track them, you won't be able to do those follow-up conversations, and so your business will not go anywhere. So you have to have the number 1, the network building checklist or system. Number 2, you have to have some type of calendar system. Number 3, you have to have some type of tracking system. And you can use Teamsy. You can use Google Streak. You can use pen and paper with highlighting system. Like, okay, if I highlight in green, then that means I've planted the seed about the business opportunity. If I've circled them, that means that they have shown interest now, or they've asked for more details, or they've said, yes, I want more details. So make sure that you track in some way. Number 4 is inviting to challenge groups and sneak peeks. What is the system for that? Okay, your coaches need to know what is the system for that. Now, there are actually lots of different ways to invite to challenge groups and invite to sneak peeks. So we've got lots of trainings on JanelleSummers.com under weekly trainings where you could pick one. Like if you wanted to have a checklist for your coaches, you could pick one and say, watch this training. Now, right now, what's fresh in my mind is the National Wake Up Call that one of my top coaches and good friend, Meg Kozlowski, just did on the National Wake Up Call, the PB&J method. And that is a very simple, easy to understand training and a simple method that works. So you could literally have a checklist if you want and say, okay, here's our system for inviting to challenge groups or sneak peeks, the PB&J method with a link to that National Wake Up Call. Another thing with having a system for inviting to challenge groups and sneak peeks is knowing the timing. Are you going to do this daily that you're going to invite to challenge groups, or is it going to be, the 3rd week of every month or whatever, you're doing your invites, one-to-one messages for the challenge group that starts the next month? You need to have your timing down. Are you going to do a little bit each day? Are you going to do a couple, blocks, 45-minute blocks of time where you're going to, invite 10 people in each block or 20 people in each block of time? What is your timing going to be? What works best given your schedule? And then what is the goal for the number of invites? Everyone's different. Some people are like, no, the whole 62 pages on a notebook paper, that's too many invites for me. That freaks me out. Maybe you're brand new and you want to just aim for 10. You need to figure out what is that goal that you have that is going to lead you to your bigger goal. Now, are you trying to become a diamond coach? Are you trying to make Success Club 10 or 20 or 30? Like it's going to depend on your goals and what you want to do with this business. Obviously, if you want to 10x this business, then you need to 10x all your numbers, your number goals, okay? As far as how many invites you're putting out there, how often and how many follow-ups you're doing, everything needs to be 10x'd. You need to, number 6 is you need to have a system for running sneak peeks and challenge groups, okay? What is your system going to be? Like, do you do yours on a challenge tracker app? Do you do yours on Facebook? So what I do for that system is I have on JanelleSummers.com. By the way, all of this stuff is on JanelleSummers.com. But under the new Coach Start Here tab, I have a system for how they start, the first few trainings that they start with, And then I have a visual of what my challenge groups look like. And so they can actually see my system for doing a challenge group, which they don't have to do it exactly that way, but at least they can visually see what it looks like in case they've not been in one of my challenge groups. So you guys can use that too. That's not password protected or anything. Just JanelleSummers.com under New Coach Start Here. And there's a video of what my challenge groups look like. My coaches also have access to a sample 21 days worth of posts. You have that for your coaches. It's just a copy and paste. Share, get these things from me, your upline, my JanelleSummers.com. It's all there for you. You don't have to reinvent the wheel on any of this stuff, you guys. So if you're thinking, oh my gosh, my plate's already so full and now I got to create this system and that system, the information is already there for you. You just need to pick and choose which ones you want, okay? And plug it into your checklist. If for each of these 8 things, you just want to make a quick checklist, then you've got that right there, and just pick and choose what you want to put in your checklist. And then a system for sneak peeks. Sneak peeks, I typically do a 3-day sneak peek. And we've talked a lot about, we've done trainings on sneak peeks. And again, that's in the weekly trainings. But what is your system for sneak peeks? Like we, over the last few months, we've been doing team sneak peeks. So are you going to do that, with your upline and have maybe you only have 1 new coach, maybe you have 2 new coaches, but are you going to get them on board to do that team sneak peek? Or are you going to point them to a video? So there's a couple different options there. Like I usually say, before you point them to the video on JanelleSummers.com, which we have a video to use as a team, I give them the bulleted basics first. And I've shared that before. So hopefully you guys know that that's on the Coach Success Facebook group. The bulleted basics are just real simple bullet points. This is what it is. You get discounts, you get team support, you get my mentorship. It's $39.95 US to join. If you join with a challenge pack, your startup fee gets waived. It's $15.95 per month business service fee starting with your 2nd month. You can cancel at any time. All these little bullet points. And then I say, does that make sense? Do you want some more details? And if they do, then you could send them to the video, JanelleSummers.com/become-a-coach/. You can go to JanelleSummers.com and view it yourself first and make sure that you would want to send people there. But it's myself and Corey Miller, one of my top coaches, just talking about what we do as coaches, why we do it, and how we run challenge groups, and how we had a lot of skepticism at first. So you can absolutely use that as your tool to invite people to the business opportunity or to present the information to them. And that can be your system for that. I may have been saying the order wrong. I apologize, Melissa, if I did, because I've had to renumber it. Okay, so number 7 is coach training. Do you have a system for coach training? Do you have a system for when coaches start? Okay, do you have a new coach mentorship group? Maybe you do a success pod for new coaches. Maybe you do a thread within Facebook Messenger for new coaches. Maybe you do a text thread. There's not one particular way that's right, but have a system that you use and is working for you so that you can teach your coaches that same system, okay? Now, the other thing with systems is that you may have to reassess about every 6 months and say, is this system still working? Does this system still make sense, or does it need to be updated because things change? So about every 6 months. So number 7 again was coach training. Do you have new coach mentorship or some way to bring new coaches on board and get them up to speed? Maybe you use the first 30. That first 30 is awesome. If you do use that system, then have that link saved as a icon right within your phone. Like I have it as an icon on my phone, bookmarked. If you don't know how to do that, it's real simple. You just go to your online office and go to training, and then go to the first 30, click on the new coach welcome book. And then once you get there on your phone, all you do is you click the bottom. It looks like a little icon that looks like a download icon. I don't think you could see it because there's going to be too much light. Sorry. I almost got it. Nope. Anyways, it looks like the icon that you would click to download things. And it'll ask you, like, it'll give you a bunch of options. And one of them is add to, I forget what the actual word is, but it's like add to home screen, add to home screen. Okay. So then it looks like a little app on your phone, and it's actually the new coach welcome book. Okay. And so that way you can, anytime you need it, you pop on it, click on the URL and text it over to your new coach. Boom. Your coach has like a to-do list for the next 30 days. So you never can have any excuses for like feeling like you don't know how to get a coach started, because that new coach welcome book, I just took a really good look at it, and it is good. It's really good. So do you have a rapid fire to Emerald? Like if their goal is to become Emerald in their first month or in their first 30 days, or maybe by their second month, do you have a rapid fire to Emerald? I host a rapid fire to Emerald group once per month. It's at the end of every new coach mentorship group. I have a rapid fire to Emerald group. So it's right on my calendar. Okay, whether I think I have enough people to do it or not, it's going down. I don't care if there's one person in it, it is going down. So have those systems in place. Don't wait until you feel like you have enough people to have a system. Have those systems in place so you have the confidence to bring people in. A push to diamond group. You can co-host that with someone else, because maybe you're like, well, I only have one coach really that's trying to push for diamond. Well, co-host it with someone else then. And again, it doesn't have to be a Facebook group. It could be a thread. It can be a success pod. It can be a text thread group, text group with 2 other coaches that you're co-hosting or whatever. Don't overthink it. The main thing is that coaches know what's next. That's the main thing. They need to know what is next, okay? Next, so this is number 8. Do you have a process for getting coaches started right? Now, I've laid this all out for you. So if you're like, no, I don't have a process for my new coaches to get started right, I've done it for you, okay? Not that you have to use my system, but it's there. So you can use it as a template if you want. It's on JanelleSummers.com. And I'd screen share if I thought I had time, but it's just JanelleSummers.com, and you click on getting your coaches started right. It's towards the middle of the screen. So you got like new coach start here, then you got weekly trainings, quick tip trainings, which are great, by the way. And then I think it's getting your coaches started right. You click right on getting your coaches started right, and there's a 10-step process. 10-step process that's all laid out for you, including the Getting Started Right video that I give my new coaches, which I'm going to be updating that soon, by the way. So you might want to do your own on that one, or wait till I update mine. But everything is on there, a 10-step process to help you get your coaches started right. And you can put that as a checklist. You can write them down real quick, or print that page, or screenshot that page and go, okay, yes, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. My new coach is getting started right because I've done these things. Have a system. And then so that was number 8. So this is number 9. Have a system for recognition. Do you recognize your coaches for going Emerald? Do you recognize your coaches? Maybe you recognize them for their first sale. Having a bigger team, that's not something I do like publicly, because that would be too much on my page. But definitely, that if you're just starting off with a newer team, that's so awesome that you could do that. You could recognize your coaches for making their first sale or getting their first team member. What kinds of recognition do you have in place? You have recognition for Success Club. So even if you don't have a big team, a lot of times you think, well, I can't do recognition yet. Yes, you can. There's things you can recognize. Maybe it's just for their fitness results. Okay. Don't always think that you have to be following what the other coaches are recognizing for. Figure out what makes sense for you and your team and run with that. Okay. So did I miss anything? Did I miss anything? Let me tell you these numbers again, the things that you need to have systems for. Number 1, network building. Do you and your coaches know what the system is for building out your network? Okay. Number 2, a calendar system. Do you have some type of system or training or something for figuring out? And that's, like I said, it's simple. All you need to do is point them to Melanie Mitchell's training. It's so good. It's precise. It's clear. Number 3, is there a tracking system? Is there some kind of training that they can go to watch a tracking system for Teamzy? Someone that uses maybe pen and paper. Like, do they have a tracking system? Do you have a tracking system? Number 3, is there some kind of system for inviting to challenge groups and to sneak peeks? Like I said, you can point them to Meg's on training on the National Wake Up Call. That's perfect right there. Number 5, do you have a system for the way you do challenge groups? And like I said, I've got a visual right there on JanelleSummers.com under New Coach Start Here. You can use that. Number 6, do you have a system for doing sneak peeks or pointing them, giving people information in some way? So either it's a sneak peek, team sneak peek, or it's just a video, bulleted basics and a video. Is that your system? Is that the system you want your coaches to use? Bulleted basics around new name coach success. And the video is on JanelleSummers.com/become-a-coach/. Okay, the video is right there. You can point them to that. So you have a system for that. Number 7, do you have coach training in place? New coach mentorship, rapid fire to Emerald, or 24 hours to Emerald, whatever you want to call it. Some type of push to Diamond group, or Diamond and Beyond group, or Diamond leadership group, or something like that, where they're moving towards Diamond. Maybe they just have to have 4 coaches in place before they start, before they can qualify to be in that group or in that thread or in that success pod. And then number 8, do you have a process for onboarding new coaches that your coaches can duplicate? And again, it's all there on JanelleSummers.com if you want to use that, or if you want to use the first 30, that's cool too. But have some type of process where you can say, hey, just so you know, if you want to start building your team, you can. All you'll have to do is put them through these 10 steps once you have your new coach. And then number 9, do you have a process in place or a system in place for recognizing your coaches? Shout outs, obviously. Do you have incentives in place? Is there something that they can earn when they make their first sale? Is there something that they can earn? Maybe it's a t-shirt, maybe it's a hat, maybe it's an Amazon gift card. Is there something they can earn for maybe their first sale, or maybe their first Success Club point, or maybe their first team member? Do you have incentives in place, and do you have recognition in place? Because people love that, especially in this business, because in the beginning, there's not a whole lot happening yet, right? You're doing the things, but it's the momentum is slow. It's slow to take off, per se. So to have that recognition in place where people are like, yes, I'm doing something. I'm doing okay for a new coach, because people need to know that. So lastly, I want to just finish by saying, keep it simple. Keep it tool-based. That's another thing that Bob Heilig touched on, is that if your systems are too people-based, like you have to rely on, everyone has to rely on you for these systems to work, then it's not going to work. You want to be able to go to South Beach and know that your systems are in place and they're all still running without you. They're tools-based. You've got documents, you've got videos to point people to, you've got trainings to point people to. They're tools-based, so that you're not having to be, dropping everything every time someone needs something. You've got things in place. And again, that's why I created JanelleSummers.com. I didn't create it for a personal blog. I created it for you guys so that you have all the tools you need and you can point your team members to it all the time. Someone's like, I don't know how to recruit. Boom, go to JanelleSummers.com, go to weekly trainings, pull up the recruiting training, copy that URL, send it to your coach, okay? That way she's not landing, or he is not landing on YouTube and getting distracted by a million other ways. You've got the training for recruiting, and you can send it to them via text, right? So it's all there. So keep it simple, keep it tool-based, and be repetitive. That's something I don't think we say enough, that when we are, when we have systems in place, we need to repetitively be putting them out there and in different ways, because you might send out a team email, or you might put something in a team page and post it or whatever, and people are busy and people have full-time jobs and they don't see everything. So you have to be really repetitive in training on your systems and putting your systems out there in visuals or in documents, in different checklists, different ways, because different people are going to gravitate, because different people learn in different ways. So be really repetitive. For example, How to Earn Success Club is at the bottom of every single team email I send out, so that if anyone is confused for a second on how to earn Success Club, it's in the last team email that they received, and they receive at least 2 emails per week. Okay. And by the way, if you're one of my personally sponsored coaches and you're not seeing those emails, let me know, because you really could be missing out. So make sure that there is repetition. All right. So any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Oh, thank you, Rachel. She's like, your website is so helpful. Hopefully y'all got that, and I will see you guys next week. We do, as a team, have a lot of things coming up this month. I mean, we're in the middle of a new coach mentorship right now. We've got a team sneak peek that's happening I have to look at my calendar now. Well, Glimpse into Coaching, Team Sneak Peek, whatever you want to call it, on the 20th, 21st, and 22nd. And we've got another new coach mentorship group that will start in October. So yeah, I mean, just make sure that you're staying engaged, okay? And ask your upline if any of this was confusing to you, okay? Or ask me. All right, thanks guys. Have a great rest of your week.